The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. Israel has voted into law some limitations on their Supreme Court's powers. The law limits the Supreme Court's powers to overrule decisions made by governments and ministers. The amendment is part of a broader judicial change the Israeli government announced earlier this year. Critics say the changes will open the door to abuses by removing effective checks on the executive's authority. The planned changes have caused months of unprecedented nationwide protests. These have also stirred concern among allies abroad for Israel's democratic health.
And I really feel that my future is lost. I feel my kids' future is lost. You know, my grandmother, she came here from the Holocaust, from Hungary. She really believed in this country, and to look at what happened here, I'm shaking.
It's a sad day to the Israeli democracy. This law will enable this government to pass any law that they would like to, and we're going to fight back.
North Korea has fired 2 ballistic missiles into the sea after a second U.S. submarine arrives in the south. According to the Japanese Defense Ministry, both missiles fell outside its exclusive economic zone. The U.S. military claims these launches pose no immediate threat to U.S. personnel and territory or to its allies. Just last week, Pyongyang conducted ballistic missile tests after a nuclear-armed U.S. submarine arrived in Busan for the first time since the 1980s. Russia vows to press on with what it calls its special military operation in Ukraine. That comment came from Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov following a drone attack blamed on Ukraine. Russia said buildings were damaged in Moscow, including one close to the defense ministry's headquarters. Ukraine had also reportedly tried to attack the Russian-annexed Crimean Peninsula using 17 drones, but failed. On Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky promised to retaliate against Russia. This comes days after Moscow hit targets in Odessa, which Moscow said is payback for recent Ukrainian attacks. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. Climate activist Greta Thunberg has once again been removed from a protest just hours after she was fined for a similar protest in June. Thunberg was sentenced on Monday for disobeying a police order during a protest last month. Thunberg and other activists from the group Reclaim the Future blocked the road for oil trucks in Malmo Harbor. The young activist admitted that she had disobeyed but pleaded not guilty and said she was acting out of necessity. Shortly after the sentence, Thunberg returned to the harbor, only to be carried away by the police again.
We are facing an existential emergency, which demands that those of us who can act do so. And we are not going to step back because the situation continues to get worse. And that, we will not step back.
Bridges in the city of Brisbane in Australia lit up in red in solidarity with people living with or affected by HIV. This as Brisbane hosts the International AIDS Society's conference on HIV science this year. The hosting of the conference is seen to accelerate Australia's goal of achieving virtual elimination of HIV transmission by 2025. More than 3,000 members of the international research community flocked to Brisbane to participate in the event. The so-called Barbenheimer phenomenon has brought moviegoers back to theaters in record numbers. That and more entertainment stories in this report by the Associated Press. And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.